Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. If you're new here and if you're returning, I'm so glad you came back. Today we're talking all about how to protect our locks, how to prevent thinning, and how to overall have a healthy head of locks. But before we get into this video, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for those of you who are. Literally means the world to me that y'all actually watch my content and enjoy the content that I'm making. I'm giving y'all the time to do it, and I'm also manifesting it, so I know that y'all doing it through the screen. I get a lot of questions in my comments about how to protect locks, you know, what to do when you're doing certain activities and don't want your hair exposed. So I'm very excited to share these tips with y'all, and I have divided them up into 3 sections. The first section is retwisting, the second section is styling, and then the last one is just general protection. So when it comes to retwisting your hair, there are a few tips that I think are super essential and super important. So the first one is do not retwist your hair too often. Retwisting your hair too often is just putting way too much tension on your scalp, way too much tension on the root, and really causing that hair to thin out. And it's important for every strand to remain strong, because as it grows out, it's going to be like the length of your hair. It's going to come from the root and be the length of it instead. And so if you have some hair that's thinner up here, it's going to turn into a thin lock as they grow older. A good rule of thumb is to not retwist your hair too often. Only do it when it's necessary. I retwist my hair like every 6-ish weeks, every 4 to 6 weeks, because I work out a lot, so there's a lot of sweat that ends up happening. I ain't gonna say I don't, because you know, it'd be hard out here, but I try not to retwist my hair in between retwists. And what I mean by that is, like, if there's an edge that's kind of, you know, straggling a little bit loose, it's easy to go ahead and just quickly retwist it before I go out or I'm going somewhere, because I want it to look as good as possible. But it's actually a terrible habit to have, because you just don't want to be putting tension on locks unnecessarily, and you especially don't want to be putting extra tension on one lock and not the other, because it's just going to be unhealthy compared to the rest of your hair. So remember to not retwist your hair too often. Don't retwist your hair too tight. It shouldn't be tugging. It should just be, you know, retwisted at the root and clipped. That's that. It shouldn't be like tugging on your hair. Along with that, when you're retwisting your hair, try to limit the amount of products you're using. I only use 2 products to retwist my hair, 3 if you count water, but I use a pomade / gel, and then I use coconut oil, and that's literally it. For everyday maintenance, I use like black castor oil and jojoba oil, but I really try to limit the amount of products going into my hair, because in reality, what goes in, it doesn't really come out. There's no way to go ahead and completely dissect these locks. Of course, detoxing is good, but when it comes down to it, you're not going to be able to remove the product from your hair, which does cause buildup. So use as little products as possible. And lastly, when it comes to retwisting, you want to make sure your hair is fully dry. If you're retwisting your hair at home, you might not, you know, go on the dryer or use a blow dryer to dry your hair. You might just let it air dry, which is completely fine. I've let my hair air dry. But you don't want to do that and then like lay down on a pillow or put your hair in a scarf or put it under a bonnet, because that environment full of moisture is just causing a great home for mildew to build up in your locks, and obviously that's something that we don't want. So make sure you're letting your hair completely dry before covering it or doing anything else to it, because you just don't want random mildew in your locks. Next, we're going to talk about styling, which is the hardest part for me to get right, y'all. And I'm sitting here as a walking contradiction right now, because my first tip is to avoid ponytails at all costs. No matter how much you want to put a ponytail in your hair, just try to avoid it. It was very tough for me at first, because ponytails were my go-to. This looks like a ponytail, but it's not really, because I just like put an elastic over it. It's not really tight or anything. Don't let me convince you that this isn't bad. It is still bad. You shouldn't be putting your hair in ponytails, but this is a very loose one. so it's not too terrible. But ponytails put a lot of tension on your hair over time, and it's gonna cause breakage and it's gonna cause thinning. I wore my hair in ponytails a lot my first year lock, and I thought it was fine. I wasn't experiencing any issue. But now, as I'm in my second year, my hair is thinner. Like, my edges are thinning, okay? They're thinning, and it's because of my ponytails. So make sure you limit the amount of ponytails you're wearing. It's okay every once in a while, but you don't want to turn it into a habit. And then along with that, just make sure you're limiting the amount of tight styles you're putting into your hair. Braid outs can be very tight when you're making it as tight as possible because you want it to look really good, stuff like that. Just avoiding tight styles as much as possible and trying to limit the amount of styles you're doing as well. Also, when it comes to elastics in your hair, you also want to limit that, because I've noticed this in my hair. If I have like a rubber band at the end, when I take the rubber band out, it has an indentation in my lock, and that indentation from where the rubber band is actually causing thinning in my locks. So I don't know if I can find one right now, but some of my locks, like, they just have a random like dip in it. Like, it's thick, 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 thin, thick, 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 thick again. And that's because something caused an indentation in it. Something caused the lock to thin at that point. And one major source of that is elastics and rubber bands. The point is, don't wear too many elastics in your hair. And lastly, coverage. This is something that completely went over my head in the beginning, and I am now reaping the consequences. But you want to cover your hair as much as possible and protect it as much as possible. And what I mean by that is there's so much in the air that causes damage to your hair, like lint, pollen. All of these things build up and cause lint in your locks. I actually have locks that like have like full strips of lint in them, and I'm just like using a crochet hook and trying to comb out the lint. But it really comes from me not covering my hair. It comes from me lounging on the couch and not having something cover my hair. So here are a few tips I have to prevent that. The first one, like I said, you need to wear a covering when you're doing stuff like cleaning up, which can be very dusty. Make sure you have a covering for that. Make sure you have a covering if you're just lounging on your couch, lounging in your bed, being out in nature, like hiking. I hike a lot, and the dust is immense. So whenever you can and whenever like you feel comfortable, please try to cover your locks as much as possible. The next thing is, do not wear headbands. Opt for scarves as much as you can. So when I was like, okay, I need to stop wearing ponytails in my hair, I was like, I'm gonna wear headbands. No, don't do that. Headbands are just a big elastic that's thinning your locks on the edges. So don't wear headbands. Opt for silk scarves. I have so many of them now. This is just a few of them. They were actually bought by my friend who basically bullied me into stop wearing ponytails because I was just like, I can't. And she was like, you're literally thinning your hair out. And she bought me some scarves because she wanted to encourage me to stop wearing ponytails, and it's really helped. So I use scarves to pull my hair back, and it works, and it doesn't cause thinning. They're silk, so they don't cause breakage either. The next thing, beware of hoodies. Hoodies have a lot of lint on the inside that can get stuck into your hair and cause, you know, lint buildup, which is very hard to get out of your hair. I get really annoyed with lint in my hair, and I will literally take the lock down. Like, if it's at the end of my lock, I will literally comb the lock out, get the lint out, and retwist it. So if you can prevent that as much as possible, because once it's in there, it's really hard to get out. So you just want to like try to follow these tips as much as you can. And lastly, we should all know this, we've been told this, but maybe you don't do it. You always want to sleep with a scarf first, and then a bonnet second, and then a silk pillowcase on top of that, so you can make sure you have all the coverage you need to not have breakage while sleeping. You're sleeping for literally like what, 6-7 hours, and that is a long time to be allowing breakage to happen to your hair. So definitely cover your hair up. And really all of this is just proactive, because as your hair gets older, everything you did to take care of it or that you didn't do to take care of it will be shown as your locks get older. And as your hair gets longer, it's going to get heavier and put even more tension on your hair. So you want to limit that as much as possible right now because you can control it, whereas if your hair is really heavy, you can't control it as much later unless you just like cut it off. And I was actually sent a few items from a Black-owned company. They have like scarves, they have some jewelry, they have like ponytail holders and things like that. Their name is Head Over Heel Customs. They are a Black-owned small business. I use this one a lot. I just do it like this and literally like put it over my hair. But yeah, I literally do like this and put it over my hair, and it's just easy protection. My hair isn't that long right now, so it literally covers up my whole lock. And I'll do this like if I'm cleaning up or something like that. And then this scarf in particular is really cool because it can also just be like a cute little headband if you just make it thinner, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to fully extend it, but I like to use this for when I'm cleaning up. They also sent me this beautiful long brown scarf. I'm gonna insert a picture of me wearing it. I really like this scarf. It's so nice, it's so soft. I'm just really grateful. Thank y'all for sending over those items, and y'all should check them out. I'm gonna put their Instagram in the comment section so y'all can check them out and buy some stuff that can protect your hair. So thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope it's helpful. Comment some tips down below that y'all have. A lot of y'all know a lot more than me, so comment some tips down below you have for protecting your locks, and I will see y'all next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.